right, it's week 6 in college football, and KSR's Pick 3 is back with our favorite plays of the weekend. As always, the Pick 3 is brought to you by mybookie.ag. We're using promo code KSR. We'll double up your first deposit. Just punch in KSR at registration when you make that first deposit, and you'll see your bankroll double up to $1,000. Use promo code KSR, and good luck out there.
Double.
Speaking of good luck, Nick Roush finally joined us back in the winner circle last week after a 2-1 record in week 5. Let's get a round of applause there for Nick. But I want to start by calling out your one loss. Have you won any bet in a Purdue game yet, ever, this whole season? Well, I feel like every week you've had one and you just keep losing money.
So I'm making a promise to our listeners, because this has been back-to-back weeks where I've made picks on this show, and when it came time to punch it into my phone and make that wager on mybookie.ag, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in the Purdue game. I was very happy I didn't. I was happy to reverse jinx them. Maybe we're back on Purdue this week. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm dedicating this week's picks to our good friend Shane Beamer and his stupid sunglasses. Shane,
nice.
You brought these stupid sunglasses out before. Time to bring them out again and to piss off Mark Stoops. I know a lot of folks are worried about Will Levis and will he play? Won't he play? You know what? I don't care. I'm just glad he drove the line down, because as soon as I was able to this morning and saw Kentucky -6, hoo-yah, hammered it down. And, that team total too. If you think South Carolina can score 20 points against this Kentucky defense and Ole Miss couldn't, give me a freaking break.
I love the enthusiasm right out of the gate. Lucky, you might not be as enthusiastic, because after a good run, you did go 0-3 last week. What happened out there?
Well, just like Roush, all my other picks won, so I'm not upset about it. No, tough week. Didn't see the ball very well last week. Matt Campbell really let me down. Field goal kicker missed about, I think, 8 field goals there against Kansas. So, and I was on the very wrong side of Oklahoma TCU. But back to the drawing board this week. We'll get it figured out.
I've also been bleeding money on Oklahoma. Turns out maybe they're not as awesome as we expected. Rouse, since you're back in the green, and it's good to have you in the family, why don't you lead us off this year? See if you can stay, or this week, see if you can stay hot.
Well, Luckett, I've been busting your chops quite a bit about betting Matt Campbell, and, I've got to practice what I preach. The fun stat for Matt Campbell is that he is 5-14 in 19 games where the spread is within 3.5 points one way or another. Close games, he stinks. Adrian Martinez is somehow one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country. So give me K-State as a small favorite on the road at Iowa State. Purple Wildcats -2.
I like that.
Imagine that. You get away from Scott Frost and good things start to happen.
Weird how
Who
that
knew?
works. Lucky, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to start in Big Ten with a nooner. Odd selection here for big noon Saturday. Michigan at Indiana. I'm going to lay the 22.5 with the maize and blue. I just think typically Harbaugh is pretty good at covering these big numbers. I just think Indiana's a total fraud this year. I've played against them twice already. Last week covered with Nebraska, and then with the WKU here in Pick 3 a few weeks ago. That was an easy cover. Should have been a WKU win straight up. Michigan, I don't see Indiana have any advantage in any part of this game. Michigan rolls in Bloomington, so I'm going to lay the big number with the Wolverines.
I'm also going to lay a big number, and it's a big number I've chased twice this year and went 1-1. I thought last week Georgia was going to destroy Missouri, and we saw what happened there. It ended up being a game could have lost. But I'm going to try it one more time as Georgia hosts Auburn in Brian Harson's last game. I do not think Auburn will score a point. So going back to the Georgia with a significant line there, one last time, hoping to get back to 2-1. I'm laying the 30 points. It seems like a lot in the South's oldest rivalry, but it's not a rivalry this year because Auburn sucks. Georgia will do what they want and put Kent State and Missouri, those games are a little closer than they needed to be, put them behind them. I might be, falling for it again, but one last ride with the dogs, give it up a huge number.
Hey, they're due, right? Brian Harson's due to get fired. Although I do have one stat for you. 18 30-point favorites in SEC conference games over the last 5 years, and the favorites are 6-12 against the spread. So hard to cover a big number, but, it's Brian Harsin.
How many of those games was Brian Harsin coaching in? This is a different animal we're talking about. He's breaking down walls with Auburn football in the wrong direction.
Guys, I do have a problem. That's why I'm on this show, and I can't stay off the Purdue train. I can't
Oh
do it.
no,
But
no.
I'm taking a different angle. Okay, I've been on them. I've been against them. I think I found a nice sweet spot. They're playing Maryland. Tualia Tagovailoa and Aiden O'Connell, two of the most productive quarterbacks in the Big Ten. They like to put up big numbers. The total for this is 58.5. And I know these teams can get in a lot of turnovers. That's really my biggest worry is turnovers taking points off the board. But this game's going to take 5.5 hours to play. They're going to combine to throw 1,732 passes. Give me over 58.5 Maryland versus Purdue.
I can't believe this has to be, it's week 6. I think you've had an Uncle Jeff game in all 6 weeks, but good luck to you.
I look forward to the 17-13 slugfest in College Park now.
And him being wrong again.
I don't hate that pick. I think your logic is sound there with two teams that are going to throw the ball a lot, and you're under that 60 is a key total. So you just get one team in the 30s, one team in the high 20s. You're there. For me, going to ACC, Florida State at NC State. I'm going to lay the field goal with the home favorite here, the Wolfpack. It's kind of strength on strength, Florida State's offense versus NC State's defense in this game. But the game's going to be won for NC State when they have the ball. Florida State's defense has not been great this year. I think it's a bounce back spot for Devin Leary and that passing offense after a rough performance on the road against Clemson. Both teams coming off a loss. So I'm not super worried about a hangover for either side because of that factor. So I'm going to lay the points with the Wolfpack at home -3.
I too considered this. Luckett. A lot of it is because I'm on the fade Florida State train. Don't like them this year. Don't like them at all. But that ACC things get really weird, which is why Georgia Tech beat Pitt for crying out loud. Like this conference is just all over the place. So wager responsibly, folks. Drew?
At my bookie. Make sure you wager there. Use promo code KSR. I can't believe I'm including this game in my pick 3 because I've changed my mind like 15 times. And that's usually an indicator that you don't know at all and you should leave it alone. But LSU and Tennessee really has my attention. I love the Vols at first because I do think they're much better than we want to admit as Kentucky fans. Hendon Hooker's been pretty unbelievable and that offense just rolls. But I even had it typed out on my sheet here. But I'm flipping to LSU, getting 3 points at home. It's the best defense Tennessee will have played this year, toughest atmosphere. I think they're finally due for some turnovers, and Tennessee won't have quite the scoring output that they will. Still think it has shootout potential, but I think LSU's offense can pick apart Tennessee's secondary, which hasn't played well. So even though I was on the Vols about 30 minutes ago, I have flipped, and I think it's going to be close enough. Maybe Tennessee wins by 1 or 2, but if I can get 3 with LSU at home against that Tennessee secondary, I'm going to give it a shot. So give me the Tigers against the Vols.
It feels like everybody's kind of on Tennessee, but that line is just holding at that field goal.
Yeah. Oh, if I get 3.5, I would have jumped all over it. 3's a little weird.
That makes you wonder. So it could be a sneaky good spot for Brian Kelly.
I'm finally Hooker doesn't turn it over. I'm ready for some turnovers. He's due. They can't go to Alabama at 5-0. They're the Vols. They're not ready for that.
And if it happens, those weird kind of things usually happen in Tiger Stadium.
Like, doesn't it feel like this is like Tennessee either wins big or LSU just wins outright? I don't.
Yeah, potentially. Like this was Tennessee was in a similar spot on the road week 2. They went up to Pittsburgh and needed overtime and a Keaton Slovis injury to win. People saw them beat the team that has a Gator or that has Gator script written on their helmet, and everybody's overreacting off of that win. And you've had 2 weeks where Tennessee hadn't played anybody. It's a rat poison game, and now they're rolling into LSU at noon, so it doesn't have the hype that it would have originally. I think it's a good spot for LSU.
That Florida game's a big part of what made me switch. If AR-15, even though I don't want to call him that, can move the ball in Tennessee, I like Daniel at home.
I'm going to I hope I'm not too late on this because earlier in the year, College Game Day went to App State for the first time. And I like John Summerall's squad. They did cover that big number, ended up losing in heartbreak. But it was a big-time game, big-time atmosphere, and the home team. It's hard to live up behind all that hype. feel the same way this week about Kansas. I just hope I'm not too late to the TCU party. Sonny Dykes and co. Or just, I mean, they absolutely put the blitz on Oklahoma last week. I could not believe that halftime score was 42-14 or something. And I just think while Kansas is fun, they're a solid football team. I don't think they're that good. So give me the Horned Frogs, 6.5 points. All they got to do is win by a touchdown on the road in Lawrence.
Luckett, I'm going to play out of turn here because that
Okay,
was
go
also
ahead.
my third pick, so I can just leave that graphic up. I lost a good chunk of money on Oklahoma versus TCU, feeling that pain, and TCU getting almost 50 points a game. I just think Kansas's magical run is about up, at least for the unbeaten season. Game day is going to be there. They'll have their fun then, but I think Tennessee or TCU is just too much for them to keep up with offensively. So I'm joining Roush with the same pick again. I feel like we've done that a couple times this year, but that was my favorite on the board. So TCU minus 6.5 for me too.
For my final pick, going to the West Coast, Oregon on the road is laying 13 here. Quietly, Oregon's been really good since that demolishing by Georgia in the opener. Like, Bo Nix is having a pretty good season out there. And they're slowly getting better under a new coaching staff. Arizona, just the talent-wise, is just a huge mismatch. Oregon's got a lot of factors going their way. Now, they had a sneaky cover against Washington State where they kind of got a defensive score late. But I think Washington State's a lot better than Arizona. So I think Oregon's going to go on the road and really handle their business easily there in Tucson. So I'm going to lay the 13 with the Ducks.
Wait, Bo Nix got better once he left Brian Harsin? Weird.
Funny. And Gus Malzahn, yeah, funny how that works.
I thought you might go to UW against the other Arizona team because that line's awfully tantalizing too. Washington minus 14 coming off the loss, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not confident enough. But those are both just tasty.
Nick, you mentioned the Kentucky spread when we started, but I mean, quite a drastic drop without Levis. I feel like we're going to buy the dip, and then Levis is going to play, and we got a free, whatever you got, 4 or 5 points there. So I might be joining you on the Cats here soon.
And my thing too, and I alluded to it with the team point total, and we've made jokes all week about it, but this Kentucky defense really shouldn't give up more than 3 scores against the South Carolina team. Even if Will Levis doesn't play, you don't have to ask KSR to do a ton because you should be able to run the ball. And Barryon Brown, how far did Will Levis have to throw the ball down the field for him to get 81 receiving yards last week? Like 1 yard, maybe, on a screen?
Love the screens.
Yeah.
There's lots of talent around him. So even if you don't have him, you've got a lot of weapons. You should be able to beat this football team. And I was very hesitant initially because these games, even though Kentucky's owned them, it's been about between a touchdown to 10 to 14 point game most of the time. But if Kentucky's winning, they're going to win by a touchdown. So, yeah, give me that -6, baby. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I think it was a big overreaction for a guy being questionable. Like last night when I heard, I was like, oh, he must be out. And now kind of what we found out, seems like 50-50 proposition whether he plays or not. So a lot of money on the line for a hunch there. That's what I found intriguing. But Kentucky's at a state in their program where they should be able to beat South Carolina at home, even if they need to go to a backup quarterback. They are better than South Carolina right now. But with all the other issues, it does scare you. So fascinating game. I think we're going to see here at Kroger Field on Saturday night. Good week to be at home. Good week to have the Keelan double dip. Good week to have some cooler temperatures roll in. So you get some liquid Long Johns there in Kroger Field. Earmuffs, Mitch. I'm sorry.
I haven't looked at what it is currently. Hopefully it hadn't dropped too far, but I like the total on the game too. I think it was around 46.5 because I do think it's just going to be run the ball and get out of there and play defense.
Yeah, the under I think
is or not.
I think the under is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings in the series. So this is a game that has typically gone under.
And Kentucky this season, the under is 4 out of 5 games.
Right.
So that might be if this were pick 4, I might have the under in that game as my 4th pick. But it's not. It's the pick 3. And thank you all for watching this version of the pick 3, where hopefully we all make a bunch of money. Hopefully you're making that money at mybookie.ag, where promo code KSR get you a double dip on that deposit. Guys, good luck to you, and I'll be talking to you on all the other things we do the rest of the week. Go Cats.